Hey, pop stars, welcome to another episode of the Wind Down Rewind. Thanks for rewinding with us. My name is Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
How you doing, Tammy?
Good. I'm doing good. Just enjoying my last days of summer.
It's been a crazy couple of weeks since the last episode, and it's a lot. I think we did a good
When
job.
is it not a lot?
Just breaking it down. So I wanted to start just by circling back to a story. And we've talked about the concentration camp known as Alligator Alcatraz the last episode, I would think.
It was definitely mentioned.
Yeah. Well, they want to build others throughout the country.
Of course.
And I don't think they'll have that gimmicky, stupid name attached to them with merch to sell. But the thing is, it's been surprising about how many people in these towns like Montana, Wyoming, these red cities, country little towns that you wouldn't think have been protesting against this. The protests are definitely out there. You don't see it a lot on mainstream media, go figure. But yeah, and I brought that up just to say that he quietly moved the people out of El Salvador, sent them to Venezuela, and then the prison in what used to be Swaziland in Africa that he spending all this money to send them to, they're turning around and sending them home. So the grifter is getting grifted, but I just wanted to, to update on that. And then also ICE has said, and the reason why I guess they want to build these detention centers is because, go figure, due process is under attack. Because ICE has said that undocumented people do not have a right to a bond hearing. So they're not even giving them bond hearings. So they're going to need a place to hold them. And it's stupid, but yeah, I don't even like calling that place by its little catchy, stupid name because it's an internment camp. It's a concentration camp, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, to know there's people already there. I just look at that concentration camp as another instance that shows me who has truly embraced their evilness and who has embraced their empathy. Like that's what this has shown me. Like, it's shown me that people who are in support of this, no matter who you are, what you look like, who are making excuses for this, who are, even when you call it a concentration camp and they're just like, it's not a concentration camp, like, are Jews being held there and everything? Like, I'm sorry, like, they have a monopoly on like, there's never been another, like, we had Japanese concentration camps during World War II.
Right.
Like, come on, like, and we call it internment camps, like, whatever, but it was concentration camps for our Japanese Americans during World War II because we stated that we couldn't trust them. And now to have this, for anyone who comes out and says and support it, I will continue to say this, 10 toes down, continue to say this. Thank you for showing me who you are. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate it every single day. If I go on social media, if I am out in public, what you wear, what you say, how you respond to certain things. Thank you for letting me know who you are, because that just lets me know who I want to conversate with, who I want to talk to, who I want to be around, and who I do not. And I appreciate that, because before, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell who the racists were. You couldn't tell who the fascists were. You couldn't tell none of this. I forgot about another news thing. I'll send you a message on it. You couldn't tell any of that. And so now y'all telling me this, love it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's horrible. Before we move on, the Japanese Americans are even protesting it and bringing up the internment camps and the history. So moving on, quickly to, I guess, the Pentagon. Grok is the AI thing by Musk.
The AI system.
To me, it's a thing. Like, his AI, it doesn't even rank up there with Gemini or Chat GPT. It's just the thing, right? But so the Pentagon, they're like the couple who can't quit each other. Like, one minute they're mad and at each other, but you're still adopting this man's shit and still giving him money, right?
Hey, $250 million. Like, you gonna still do what I asked you to do.
Yeah, so the Pentagon has adopted Grok as its research system, its AI system. I don't know why. But the thing about that is Grok has a porn fetish, a rape fetish, and praises Hitler. So this, yeah, like made headlines about how much of an incel system Grok is. And I'm like, I refuse to give him any money. I hate that sometimes I give him clicks by still logging into Twitter. Its mama named his Twitter. It's still Twitter. I refuse to call it that alphabet letter. Okay. I'm just like, how fucking incompetent can you be? And on top of that, Hegseth, the investigation proved what we already knew. Yes, they're still using Signal. Yes, they're still using Gmail. Yes, they're still using WhatsApp. Yes, they're still utterly fucking incompetent. And if I had a job like that I knew I wasn't qualified for, I guess it's just me. I would do my best to try to get up to speed and do the job to the best of my fucking ability. Not because I think my mediocrity or my privilege entitles me to something, and just because I'm a certain gender and race or whatever, that I'm automatically qualified for the job. Like, worked in education. That doesn't make me qualified to be the fucking Secretary of Education. But if I were, I have some ideas about how to, make it better. But I'm just like, what in the fuck are they doing? But that was the thing that got me, was just like, okay, so you're allowing an incelish system to control your systems. Make it make sense.
I'll be honest, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for the people who are using it. I think it makes sense for the people who have made the deals and the contracts and have put it into play. I tell people this all the time. Everybody who currently works in the government in these high positions, and we constantly talk about how they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're doing exactly what they were hired to do.
They are.
We look at it as in, I talk to my mom all the time about this, because my mom still has this like fantasy image of, but when you're like the Secretary of Defense, you're not supposed to be doing this. Okay. Like, what you're supposed to do. Like, how can they do this? And I'd be like, Ma, he was hired to do this. Like, he's doing exactly what he was hired. And she just like, and my mom's a boomer. Like, so she looks at it and she's just like, no, like, this is not how the government is. And I said, this is how it is now. I think she's in denial, because if she has to admit that we are not what we used to be, it'll break her heart. Like, to know that the systems that she was raised to trust have been destroyed by her generation and by the silent generation, which is hilarious, on the fact that the silent generation is still has so much power in this country. So much power in this country. Like, these people were like born before the world wars. Anyway, but yeah, so I always say they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Pam Bondi is doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing. Pete Hegseth doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. McMahon is doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing. Linda McMahon. All of these people in these high cabinet positions are doing exactly what they were hired to do. And it's crazy, and, it's like hurtful, but it is what it is. So it just, yeah, like it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It is heartbreaking. It's trauma inducing. It's a lot.
Very much. And we talked about this last time on the trauma, that we're going through.
Yeah. And speaking of Bondi, as much as we wish it would, I don't wish it would, but I wish they would really do something about it. And I don't know. But the Epstein, much to the credit of the MAGA base, I guess the Epstein shit is not going away. And it's surprising, because normally he's so adept at changing the narrative, changing the conversation. But I think they overpromised, oversold. And so it's a lot. Like, okay, first of all, so the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, for those who don't know, yes, the same fucker who owns faux news. The Wall Street Journal published that, or reported, and they were the first ones to do so officially, that Trump is in the Epstein files. Any sentient human being who's been paying attention knew this, right? I think the surprise is that the Wall Street Journal published it. Okay. Which is normally historically more of an economic paper, but they've also always been really a more conservative paper, even before Murdoch bought them. But They would call him out on things like the economy. They would sometimes let you know when they didn't necessarily disagree, but they've never been this contrary. So my thing is, who the fuck did he piss off in the oligarchical newspaper world? Because, you know, the journal, let's just face it, our American media is shit. It has been shit since it turned into basically tabloid journalism. Most of it's owned by the same oligarchs, you know, who carry his water. So I know during that whole election thing, him and Fox News kind of fell out a little bit, but they made up, you know, make up the breakup, whatever. So my first question was, what? The Wall Street Journal? Who the fuck did he piss off? How did he piss off Rupert Murdoch to where he allowed this to be printed? Now, the second thing is, so after that, you know, he goes to his normal red meat subject turner. Obama is a fucking treasonous now. And, you know, usually as soon as you say Obama crossed the street, the base is like jumping. They turn rabid and feral. That didn't happen this time. You know, they 20 years later, y'all still hung up on the man wearing a tan suit for Easter. Like, you know, and it hasn't literally been 10, 20 years, but you get what I'm saying. And so this time it didn't happen. And then also, I think Obama showed them that, yo, I was the first black president, because that fool and his petty came out. He posted the video of Trump being arrested. So again, they met Barry. They didn't get Obama, they got Barry, okay?
Gosh.
And so when that didn't work, it didn't move the needle the way they thought. They dumped the King files for Martin, you know, for MLK and his assassination. So you do a file dump of 230,000 pages on some government.org site. Fool, your base is not going to that gov.org site to sift through 230,000 pages. They're not going to sift through 230,000 fucking words, which is basically a longer novel, let alone a fucking government dump. Okay, so that didn't work to move the needle. So I'm thinking like you overpromised, especially like your deputy director of the FBI we talked about the last time. He made his whole podcast about releasing the Epstein files. Your whole people were like, release the Epstein files. That's what you ran on. That's what you kept promising over and over again. And Bondi told him what he already knew. You all up in the Epstein files, you know? So it was just crazy. And yeah, but it's not going away.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think, my opinion, that at the end of the day, if these files are ever released, that MAGA will fall in line. I think that right now they can be up in arms, but we've seen it before. Like, we've seen it before. They'd be upset about certain things. People are like, no, because they holding out this time just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. But for people who are saying, you know, because they really care about the kids, it's the kid. You don't. Because Sandy Hook happened. Uvalde happened.
You let kids,
Parkland happened.
You let, 50 plus kids drown in a river 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. You know, floodings happened. So I'm not on board. Like, I'm not on board with this. Now, do I need to see the files? No, I don't. But I also don't think they need to see the files. I think, well, here's what I think. It's all opinions anyway. I think what really has upset MAGA is that they're getting what they voted for. They're getting it to the extreme that they didn't know was possible.
It's affecting them, and they thought it would just
affecting them. And so they're trying to double on this Epstein file, right? Because this would be like, no, this is the last straw. This is the last straw. And the reason why is because when they try to bring up everything else that is going on, every other decision, everything else that he's doing, they don't have a leg to stand on. And the reason why is because everything that he has done up to this point has been a campaign promise. He promised us this. He promised us to dismantle the Department of Education. He promised that he was going to deport all the illegal criminal immigrants, okay? When he really meant was he going to deport all of them, okay? If you look possible that you don't belong here, quotations, you got to go, okay? He promised them that, and he's doing it. What is throwing them off is he's taking their immigrants. They did not think that he was going to take their immigrants, okay? But they can't say nothing about it. Why? Because they voted for it. He's dismantled the Department of Education. And then they're implementing these voucher systems and everything like that. They've done the cuts for Medicare and Medicaid. Okay. Why are they up in arms about that? Because it's going to close their hospitals. Our hospitals are going to be chilling and open. They're going to be crowded up the wazoo and the price is going to skyrocket. But we're still going to have our hospitals in the major cities. In those democratic areas, we're still going to have our hospitals. Okay. May not be as accessible as it is now, but we still going to have them. Y'all's hospitals about to close. They about to shut down. You about to die on the way to the hospital that's 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away. But you can't say nothing about that. Why? Because you voted for it. So now you the Epstein file, you voted for it and he's not following through. This is the one thing he said he was also going to do and he's not following through. So because of that, they're going to stand 10 toes down on this is the hard line. No, it's not. It's because you can't be hard line about nothing else because he did everything else. And it's the only thing that you can hold him to because everything else he promised, even though you don't like that other stuff. So miss me with that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it, and I agree. I agree with that a lot of what you said in that perspective, and like I said, if people were smart, Republicans, and we talked about this, I'm not going to rehash that from last week's episode. If they were smart, they could use this as their out. Those who really want to get out from under this, they could use it as their out because the House, I think it was the House Committee Oversight, they actually got the votes to subpoena the files, and then Johnson shut down the House. He recessed the House till the end of the summer. And I'm thinking that
they brought them back to vote on a bill and then went back into recess.
I think that I don't know that this will go away by September the way he wants it to. And the reason is I think that most Democrats during this recess are going to keep harping on this because they know. And just because this is different, and it might have to do with the fact that this is the one thing that they can show their disapproval on without admitting they're wrong. Because one thing they don't like to do is admit they're wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I really do think you're right. And I agree with you on the silent generation. Congress needs to be younger. Democrats, not from the fact that I'm trying to be ageist, but I'm trying to say a lot of them don't realize that the days of gentleman politics that it ever existed, the days of bipartisanship, they're over. And they ended in 2010 in earnest. When Mitch McConnell sat up there, or 2008 or 2010, when they got control of the House back, and Mitch McConnell stood up there and said it was his fucking goal to make sure that Obama was a one-term president. That is when this all started to change. And,
made it permanent. It made it permanent when he held up that Supreme Court seat. That first Supreme Court seat, when he held up that first Supreme Court seat, with Merrick Garland, I think that solidified the fact that it was no longer gentleman politics. And the fact that because Democrats
let him. They let him. They played too nice. They let him.
They let him. But also, even right now, when you look at what is going on in the Democratic Party, and when you look at what's going on in that party, and you see that there is a fight between the old heads and the progressive side, and the fact that the old heads, or the ones who support them, are trying to stop and literally villainizing. Is that the word, Eddie? Villainizing the progressive Democrats. They don't want them to gain any power. They're not looking for people who can take over. They're not looking for the future of the party. They're looking for the ones who are going to stay in line. And those that are staying in line are the ones that they want to keep in power. That's the reason why, they're trying to stop as much as possible any of these progressive from gaining any possible power in the House or the Senate on those committees. Every single time that one of these progressive representatives or senators that we see who are a little bit more progressive than the mainstream try, even with the experience that they have, that they're the most experienced, which, I mean, we know about that from November, try to get into positions of committee where they can really make a change, they stop them. It's not the Republicans that stop them from taking those positions. It's the Democrats.
Yeah. And it's like you're playing too nice. And AOC said it. You need to fucking fight fire with fire. I said it. So Newsom, who this has revived his fucking political career because it was DOA after he tried to play both sides with
And the
inviting.
Charlie Kirk bullshit.
Yeah. So he his response to the gerrymandering thing in Texas is, okay, yeah, we'll do that in California and we'll give you 2 fucking seats. You want to play? Let's play.
Well, I want to
And
see him do it though.
I do too. And
You're
but
talking a lot. Do it.
but I want to believe that he learned his lesson and he's going to be, he understands what needs to be done. He understands that this is not a time to meet in the middle. That time is over. It's not. It's war. And we are fighting for our lives as a country. And like I said, more people are upset than people realize. There are protests every week, every day, in every city. They're just not being shown on mainstream media, you know, but the people are out there fighting. We really are. So we will see what happens. We will see if this goes away. We will see if Ghislaine Maxwell gets her pardon for keeping her mouth shut, or if she mysteriously meets a sudden end. One way or another, she ain't talking. I'm just going to leave it at that. The birthday card that shows that he and Epstein have been BFFs. He's shown that him and Epstein have been BFFs. There are pictures of him and Melania with her original face hanging out with Epstein, you know, all those years ago being BFFs. So it's just like he's talking about, oh, well, that card was forged and I'm suing. Shut up. Like, so I just want to see how long it lasts and if this gets to traction. Because again, if historically what has happened, if we even have a midterm in 2026, because, you know, that big, beautiful bill has some shit about the elections that people don't pay attention to. But if we have a midterm in 2026 and historically what happens is that they, you know, the control Congress switches to the opposition party, then we will see if they have the balls to do what they need to do this time. I'm not holding that much hope. But going back to something else you said, there was an interview about the Democratic Party where they got lit the fuck up. My boy,
Dude.
I'm talking about my boy. Hunter Biden has no fucks to give. He stood 10 toes down for his daddy, for Kamala, and he was like, fuck Clooney, fuck Pelosi, fuck the Pod Save America bitches, like fuck them all. What did you think about that interview?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. First and foremost, I did not watch the full thing, but I've watched so much clips that I feel like I watched the whole thing. Which, look, society that we live in now, right? Like everything's clipped. But all the clips are coming up where like I'm seeing like the different ways that he's talked about, you know, everything that you've mentioned. Someone said that this is the reason why so many of them did not want Hunter Biden to be fully sober. They wanted to make him out to be this dumb, drug addicted, like Nepo baby.
But drug addiction is a disease, and considering everything that he's been through in his life, you know.
But that's a logical way of looking at it, Eddie. But when you look at the reality of the society,
They wanted him to be the drug addicted fuck up.
Yes, like and they wanted him to be that. And I'm gonna be like, wow, I'll say it right now. I said from the jump that before Biden left office, he better pardon his son.
And he did.
I said it immediately. I said, you do not leave your child to those vultures. I don't care what they say about you. I don't care how they drag you. You better pardon your son because they will destroy him, right? And he did it. He pardoned his son. And it's kind of like, I wasn't surprised because I was like, Biden is one of those people, because you rarely see it. Not saying that they don't love their children, but it's not shown as much, right? On the connection that the fathers who become presidents have with their children. Okay. It's just not shown. And we also have to think of the fact of like, Hunter Biden is the first son, right? In decades upon decades. Like, I can't even remember who was the last first son, right, of a president. Because if you look at the last couple presidents, they've all had girls. Okay? They've all had daughters. So you think of like Obama, 2. You think of Bush, 2. You think of Clinton.
I think it was Bush Jr.
Okay, so Bush Sr. So the early 90s was the last time that we had first sons, right? So far along. But since then, like, daughters. So, but even with like that, like I was too young to really see the affection that presidents had for their children, right? Like, I didn't really see like the full connection with Clinton and Chelsea, and that's probably because I didn't like at that time, like, I didn't pay attention to that part of his presidency. But I started to see it with Bush and his daughters, but not too much. But definitely started with Obama and his daughters, right? On like him being a father, like full on father. Like you could tell he was an involved father. And you see that with Biden. And that's just something different that I just didn't recognize before. You knew that he loved his son. Like, and he would do whatever needed to be done for his son. That's why he put him in the White House and said, "You're gonna be up in this White House with me, and you going everywhere I go, because I'm gonna protect you." I think what Hunter Biden showed is that the love is mutual, of course, but that he is a very intelligent man. He's a very successful man. He's a very accomplished man. And they didn't showcase that. I think that he spoke a lot of truths, a lot of things that I agree with, especially when it came to the establishment and how the establishment is playing just as much of a role as the Republicans in destroying this country and keeping us where we are of struggling for our everyday lives. I think the Democrat establishment plays as much of a major role as the Republicans that are currently in power in keeping us where we are. And so him calling them out, calling out Pelosi, calling out Clooney, which didn't click in my head about Clooney until he pointed it out. I don't know if you knew about that, but I ain't know.
About his wife? Was it about his wife?
George Clooney?
Yeah.
Well, so with George Clooney, it is the fact of like, George Clooney is also embedded within the establishment.
Yeah.
We know him as a celebrity, but George Clooney, has always been embedded with the establishment, right? Like, and it goes towards like who he married. Like, you could tell like George Clooney is on a next level based on like who he married and, how focused he was with those issues and, how he celebrated the accomplishments of his wife. But to know that like, it's not just like the Pelosi's and the Jeffries and the Schumers that are part of the establishment, but there are like podcasters, there are newscasters who are also embedded in the establishment to keep the status quo the status quo. Even when he talked about like Rahm Emanuel, like, yes. And then how ultimately that man destroyed Chicago, okay? Destroyed Chicago, okay? Based off of the name that he made for himself with Obama, okay?
And that was something I loved. It's like David Axelrod has only won one fucking election, and that was that was Obama's election, and that was due to Obama, not necessarily you.
And it was due to a team, not you alone, because we could name multiple people that played a major role in Obama becoming who he ultimately became.
And so I think going back to it, because we just passed the anniversary of a year when Biden gave into the pressure, threw a fastball, and threw all his weight behind Harris to stop that stupid spaghetti against the wall convention that they wanted, which hadn't worked since the fucking 1960s. There's a reason why they stopped doing that. And so I really thought when all that was happening, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And that's one thing you can say about the Republicans. They may hate each other behind closed doors, talk shit about each other, but in public, for the most part,
like this, and can't say shit about it. Sorry,
I think people underestimate the stakes.
Can't talk about family.
Thank you. I think people underestimate the stakes of this fucking election. I was telling people, this isn't the election to have that one idea that you're going to die on. This isn't a one issue election. And if it is our fucking democracy. That is the issue. That is what is at stake, So for them, and then when she did bring in the Obama bro to take over the campaign, you could see the change in how they silenced Walt and just the it just be it not that it you could see the changes. I'm not going to say that they were truly detrimental, but you shouldn't have stopped talking about Project 2025, even if Trump did. It's like y'all were still following his lead. Oh, he stopped talking about, he said it's not true, but we all know it's fucking true. You know what I'm saying?
Drill it.
And so they came in, and that's when the establishment came into the campaign to try to help. That's when you saw differences, and it became more of a status quo campaign instead of what it was originally. Again, more money, 70 something million votes in that amount of time. She ran a hell of a campaign. But the establishment is fucking us over. Nancy Pelosi, I'm gonna say I used to think she was a boss bitch, and you can't take away she like you. We talked earlier off air before we started recording. People are doing shit to tarnish their legacies because for a long time Pelosi had the juice. She was the most fucking powerful fucking person in Washington D.C. She never took. She knew how to whip those votes. She never took something to the floor. She knew it didn't. She was competent. She was more than competent. She was a boss. She was damn good at her job. So for her to turn like this, I'm like, what the fuck is this about? And so that whole thing just surprised me. So I'm glad that someone who was in the know didn't hint around it, didn't beat around the bush about it, but they said what needed to be said so the rest of us wouldn't seem like fucking conspiracy theorists or like we were crying over sour milk. Like I said, any sentient human fucking being could see what was going on. The pod bros. Who gives a fuck? Biden is what? On his worst fucking day, yes, the debate was bad. He had a bad fucking night. But what happened is it scared them and it triggered their innate, how do we put it? Racism, sexism, the fact that they didn't want her. And I think it made them all realize if something happens to him, she is one heartbeat away from the presidency. And they didn't want her. Like he said, they didn't want her to be vice president. And they didn't want her to be president. So you sold out our country for this fool. And again, that whole, I didn't think it would be this fucking bad. Like, what the fuck did you think? He told you.
Every day.
And with the adult, and I told someone the other day, I never thought I would say thank goodness for John fucking Bolton, who was one of the adults in the room, who I can't stand. Don't get it twisted. Can't stand a motherfucker, but he was one of the adults in the room who kept the train on the tracks during the first administration. This time around, they got rid of all those people who knew what they would do.
Who knew how the government ran.
Work and would only push it so far. Like, no, we can't do this. We may be able to do this, but we sure as hell can't do this. These motherfuckers just don't care. The Constitution is a fucking idea to them, and a bad one at that, And it reminds me of the dude who said, Hispanic dude on TikTok, I didn't believe black people when they said they were racially profiled and pulled over by the police for no reason. I knew it happened maybe on occasion, kind of, sort of, but they had to have done something wrong. So guess what? Now his ass is being racially profiled, pulled over by the police for no fucking reason. Now he understands and he empathizes, but guess what? He still doesn't regret his fucking vote. He just didn't vote for that.
Remember last time we talked, last episode, I said, fuck them. Because what did I say? I said, I don't care how much you come out and say that you regret your vote. You don't. You don't deserve my grace. You don't deserve my forgiveness. I am not giving you a space. I'm not giving you space. I want to know who you are. I don't want to ever have to speak to you again. I don't want to have to look your way. I don't want to have to sit next to you. I don't want to have to share anything with you. I don't care, because every single one of you who comes out and says that you regret your vote, you don't regret your vote. You regret the fact that it's affecting you. That's what you, because if it was only affecting us,
they wouldn't care.
They give two shits.
Because they voted for it to affect everybody else. They voted for the bad Mexicans to go away, the ones who came here undocumented. Yeah. They voted for, they really thought that we was going to rush out to take over those black jobs that they were stealing. Been there, done that. I wish you would. How you going to get us back there? Like I told somebody, we built this motherfucker and we will burn it down before we go back there, okay?
I'll stick to my black job I currently have.
Thank you, because that ain't my life. Don't know nothing about it. Read about it. Have taught about it. Been like, no. But, so it's just like, yeah. But, so Mehdi Hassan and Jubilee, girl.
Did you see it?
Girl. That one dude who said, but you're an immigrant. Get out of my country. He said, what? He said, I'm actually an American citizen. I don't care. You weren't born here.
Look. I watched, once again, can't watch the whole thing because I think it would trigger. I would go through a lot of PTSD and breakdowns if I had watched it from beginning to end. I love Mehdi Hassan. I think if there was anybody who could go on Jubilee and not get boggled down by the interactions and statements, it would be Mehdi Hassan, because that man is the number one champion of debating, because he stays focused, right? Like he talked about it when he wrote his book. He talked about how he became the debater that he is, right? And he says, I stay focused. I grab something that you said and I focus on it, and I pull out the data, the facts that I have, and I drill it.
Like a journalist should do?
Yeah. And he does that, and nobody has been able to change or shift how he debates. They've tried it. They've tried to trip him up. They've tried to throw things at him, and nobody has been able to do it. And I looked at him and was like, Jubilee, you ain't going to be able to do it either. Like, getting 20 fascists to debate him is not going to do it. And I think that's why, like, there's a lot of people that had an issue with the fact that he went and he did this. I don't have an issue with it because he stayed focused. And he was the same Mehdi Hassan that we've known for years. And so, but he also showed us how dangerous our society has become. Like, it is dangerous that there are people who boldly say that they're fascist, who boldly say that they're Nazis. It's dangerous. It is dangerous that, and the thing is, you know what I also loved? It wasn't only white people. Yeah, it wasn't that many people of color, but they were still there. And those people of color you saw how ridiculous and stupid, like when we were talking about the rappers who are engaging in conversation and doing events with people who have shown microaggressions and racist tendencies, right? And I look at it and I say, this is exactly the same thing, because it shows me that, first of all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We know that. And we know that. But like I'm talking about oh my God, is he from Iraq? I think he's from the Middle East, and he's on there with his little evil mustache. And he was on there, and Mehdi Hassan, I love him. I love that man. He was pointing out, so you're telling me that you're on the side of all of these people in this room who want you and me gone? Like, they don't only want me gone. They don't want me deported. They don't want me to get out of here. They also are including you. And he drilled that. Like, he was like, they also want you gone. And he's like, that's not what I want to talk about right now. Like, he and Mehdi Hassan kept drilling it. Like, he wouldn't let him change the topic. He said, no, I want you to address it. That you are saying that you're in agreement with these people who are sitting in a room who said that they want you gone. They want you to get out. They don't care that you're a citizen. They want you to get out. Are you okay with that? And that is the reason why the Jubilee, like, for him, I was like, yeah. Because these people are bold.
And you said something interesting. You said now, and I think that's the thing. We got to the point where the Obama presidency did two things. It brought out the latent racists, and then the ones who thought, oh, we've overcome, y'all became too complacent. They didn't realize what was happening. It's like, oh, we got a black president, we made it. These issues will never happen in America, and people just got too complacent. But if you, it's like any relationship. If you want it, you have to tend to it, you have to fight for it, you have to work for it, you have to take care of it. And we, as American people, have not been good stewards of our democracy. We have not been taking care of it. And I think that's how we got here where we are. I love Mehdi Hassan, but he was one of the ones during the election that I also had some issues with. He said some things I disagreed with, but I was happy to see him. And again, you can still like someone and not agree with everything they say. I think we're in this point somehow where you think you have to agree with everything I say. I love you, but I don't agree with everything you say, and vice versa. And so I don't know, but I don't have a problem with him going on there. I agree with you. I thought he did great. And I agree. I didn't watch all of it because it's rare that I can watch a full Jubilee. Even Pete Buttigieg, who I think is a great communicator, I didn't watch the full one that he was on a few years back. And that's just because the ignorance breaks my fucking heart. It's not a matter of you having a different political opinion, which used to be
Okay, like
So, yeah, in some ways, the Republican Democrat thing, I've never truly agreed with all Republicans, but I've never just,
I saw that you saw their point.
yes,
I
but
saw
now,
where they were coming from and why they weren't on the same page as me with certain things.
yes, but I don't, there is no point now, but just to
Yeah.
be ignorant. But taking us back, I think history repeats itself and sometimes in the dumbest ways. And I'm with you on this. I want you to say you're a fascist because I want to know who the fuck you are because they
Mhm.
don't wear the hoods anymore. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so tell me who you are. Show me your hood. Take off the mask. Say it. Even if you are a person of color, which there's always going to be, who is that character Samuel played in Django?
We talking about, but I forgot what his name
There's
was.
always going to be one of him. There's
There he
always
is.
been, so I want to know who you are. I want to see you. Show me your face because that way I know who I'm dealing with and I can deal with you appropriately, which is not to at all. So yeah, but yeah, it was so now moving on kind of just really quick, Colombia paying $220 million to get their funding back. The thing that got me about this, their federal funding, who the fuck are you paying this $222 million to? Was it a fine? Were you fined for something? And the thing that caught me about the headline I saw, it didn't say Trump administration, it said fucking Trump. So are you giving this motherfucker $222 million directly to get your money back? And where is it going? Because there is no more Department of Education. And is it a fine? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
A donation to his fund.
So they're paying him.
Yeah. Through his campaign fund that's still going on.
So they're paying him. Jesus, take the wheel.
You know what's hilarious is what is it, 400 million?
That they're getting back in federal funding. So you paying 220, and that's
For
what I'm.
about maybe they'll get a little bit more, but about like $500 million. Yeah.
So I'm just like whoever
But
is,
they're paying it to him so that they can get that money, that funding from the federal government. Yeah.
which where is it going to come from? Again, the Department of fucking Education does not exist.
Yeah, but they shifted all of that to the same way that they shifted student loans. The fund because so when it comes to like Columbia
So
and
you're
everything like
paying the
that.
Better Business Bureau now because they're the ones who are in charge of the fucking student loans.
Well,
I mean,
no.
for the
So
small business, whatever.
they are so this funding that Columbia is fighting to get has already been allocated to them. So even as the Department of Education has been dismantled, this funding was already allocated to them. So it's already to the side. It's not like he spent that like money because it was allocated to them. So it's a little bit harder to spend that money than people think. Like they can come out and say whatever they want about where they're going to use the money, but it's still harder to take that money. You can say that I'm not giving y'all the money, but it's still sitting in an account. Okay, it's still chilling in an account because legally it has been allocated to Columbia University.
And see, and this is where I'm sorry to
No, no,
interrupt.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is where Congress needs to do their fucking job because you can't legally withhold funds that have been allocated. But according to Mike Johnson, they are doing their job. But anyway, and it's a catch-22. On one hand, I get it. I do. I'm not going to be naive and say that I don't. But on the other hand, it is really disheartening to see so many people bend at the knee. The best way to beat a bully is to fight back. And Jerome Powell did just that. Did you see those clips? Like, so it's just like,
Grandpa was just very confused. Grandpa was just like, I love the facial expressions, right? Because as a tourist, my facial expression, like my face will tell you everything that I'm thinking, right? If I'm not understanding something confused, I'm be like, and his facial expressions, while that man was talking, was like, what you talking about? That's not what I got. And then when he kept going back at him, baby, he's like, nope, that's not what it is. And he's just like, I don't know nothing about that. No, because this was a building from 5 years ago. Like, what you talking?
and then it kills me that the Mango Mussolini doesn't even fucking realize Powell is your dude. You're the one who appointed him. Biden
He's
just
also an economist. And I think at that point, Powell's economist background came out and because he was so confused, like, this, you going beyond like simple white lies. Like,
Yeah, but he's been going at him since he came back into office, talking about this is Biden's pick. No, fool, you did this. He was around your first term. Biden just kept him on, and so I'm just like, Lord, be offense, Jesus, be offense. I can't. Again, I need more people to have that energy to fight back, because we know taco is going to happen. It's going to be Taco Tuesday. We know it. Okay, it always is. It's always Taco Tuesday. But and going back to something else, have you heard about the white settlements? Going back to our previous conversation about showing me who you are.
yes, and I love it. Can we get more? I love it. Can I speak real quick?
Check it.
When I tell you the joy that came in my heart when I saw the clip of the interview that these people did, and I said, well, what do they say in the South? What do our people say? If you like it, I love it. When I tell you, I said, well, baby, if you like it, I love it for you. Like, please go ahead. Don't stop at Arkansas. You need one in every state, baby. Please. But here's the thing. I just have one request. I have one request. Since you want to be whites only, okay? Don't do what they did up in Tulsa, okay? Leave us the fuck alone. You want to be whites only, we're going to leave you alone. Don't get mad when we don't come for you. Don't get mad when we're not arguing with you. Don't get mad when we're not telling you that you can't do this. I'm telling you, do it. And I want you to do it big. Invite as many people as you can, okay? Take up as much of the land as you can. Please, please do it. Please. And you know what you can do also? Hook up with some of these sundown towns.
That's what I said they were. They're just many versions of fucking sundown towns.
Yeah, but no. But those sundown towns, they be in the cut, okay? This white settlement, these whites only towns, they want to be bold. They want to be out there. I need you to take those sundown towns and tell them, hey, this is how we doing it now. Y'all should be bold as well. Let them know they not invited up in here, okay? Put roadblocks that they can't even drive through your town. Please let me put up signs that says this is a whites only town. This is a sundown town. You can't drive. Please, y'all, I'm so happy. I'm so happy because the more of you that gravitate to these areas, the more happy we gonna be.
Yeah, like I said, just let me know, because there are a couple of in Texas. There are a few sundown towns we not too far from them. I'm being, and I like it. And there's a state I call the sundown state because I just drive straight through. I don't even stop.
I get scared every time I drive through that sundown state.
Don't even stop there. I stop in the state before, stop in the state after.
You better fill up that tank and hope you get through.
Thank you, because like last stop. But anyway, so my thing is this. Those homes, girl, it looked like nothing more than a fancier, maybe trailer park. And the comments that got me was their own people even going in. So you gonna go here and be inbred? Like, this is where y'all gonna do cousin fucking and shit? And this was coming from their own. It wasn't coming from us. It was coming from
because look, people need to understand. November happened and y'all thought we was joking. Y'all thought we was joking. You thought that y'all just needed to put out the right news. You thought that you just needed to put out the right headline, and we're gonna fall in line, and we're gonna go back to being what we were before. And y'all are trying everything. And that is the reason why, you know how mad they are that so many of us are coming out and saying, if you like it, I love it. They mad because we not fighting you on it. We not making a big deal about it. We not telling you not to do it. No, baby.
You think threatening to pardon Derek Chauvin every couple of months is going to get us.
And we sitting back and we like, okay, we got it. We understand.
Charges and who like,
yeah. You released the MLK files. We was like, okay. And we said, you try to say about how you going to try to arrest Obama. We said, and here's the thing. You know how you definitely know that we ain't coming out? Because you threatened Obama, okay? We rather die for that man. Whether you like him or not, ride or die. And we sat up in our homes and we looked over our balcony and we said, that's what we doing? Okay.
He released his video like, come for me, bitch. And what? Like
we was like, we chilling. And that video that Obama released, I felt was a little bit of his way, not to get off the white settlement, was a little bit of his way of telling us, keep doing what you're doing. I'm good. I'm good. Like, it was him saying, before y'all even try to get angry, I got this.
But here's the thing. Also, the presidential immunity that you have the Supreme Court pass, it doesn't
Gave
apply
it
to
to
you.
him.
It doesn't just say Trump. It says president. So
It
it would
applies to all
apply
of
to
them.
him too. But
But
yeah,
yeah, these white, like, it's sundown towns, which we're used to. And my only thing is, leave us alone. Like, there wouldn't be as many issues because I don't think segregation would have been as much of an issue if you did not try to destroy us
yeah,
or
because
keep us down. Like, if you had just everything that we create, we got to keep. And you didn't get mad because you realized that what we created was better than what you created, and you got jealous and decided to destroy it. If it wasn't for your destructive ways, we would be good with segregation.
because here's the thing. Someone said, well, y'all just met. No, Tulsa, Harlem, all these other black communities and settlements that were destroyed. The lake in Georgia that everybody drowns on, that's built on top of a successful black city. I can't think of it right now, but you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Central fucking Park was a black
Central Park.
settlement,
Yes,
so it's just like all these things, like everything we've had and everything that has been a success, you've destroyed. Black neighborhoods, take highways through them, infuse the drugs into them. Like I said, we're okay because we know how to survive. It's ingrained in most of us, but it's just like, so I'm with you. I was just like, dude, really?
also say that everybody wants to be around people who share in their values, who share their morals, right? Everybody wants that. Like, you want people who um, live the same life as you in some way, shape, or form, right? Who share the same ideas of a world as you. If you are Mayo and you share the views that you have, right, where you want to separate yourself, I do believe that you should be given the opportunity to be around like-minded people. I just will say again, while I believe that you should be around like-minded people and you should have that opportunity, just like the rest of us want that opportunity, don't get mad when you don't like your people the same way we don't. Don't do that. Stick to your people. Enjoy your time of like-minded, racist people. It's okay. But their problem is that they look outside their window and they see all the fun that we're having and they get mad.
With our line dances and stuff like that.
Yeah, they get mad. And you know another thing that make them mad? When we invite some of their people to enjoy the fun. Because somebody said this, I forgot who it was, but they said, the problem is that we have never been exclusive. When we create something, our door is always open to invite people. There have only ever been whites only signs. Whites only. You have never seen a blacks only sign that was created by black people. You have, like, they'll be like, oh, but there's a black student union and anybody can go in. Anyone can go to the meeting. Now, are they gonna be like, hey, if you're not about this culture, don't open your mouth and speak unless we ask you for something? But we're not closing the door on you coming in. There's no black student union that won't allow anyone of a different race, ethnicity to walk in and enjoy the amenities that are afforded them. There's no black organizations that don't. There are white people in Divine Nine.
Thank you. There are white.
Every single one of them.
There are minorities at HBCUs.
Yes. Who get scholarships. The same way that we can get scholarships, depending on the population at PWIs. I went to Dell State. They are able to get scholarships because they're the minority on campus. It's not enough of them. So they got a scholarship to go to an HBCU. Nobody knows that. Nobody thinks about that. We're not being exclusive. Come on in. Now, granted, sometimes we do it a little too much. But we don't shut the door in your face. Y'all are the only one, these whites only town. Y'all want to shut the door where you don't want to allow us to live. That's fine. But we're not exclusive. You have to acknowledge that. We are not exclusive. We have never put up signs that says blacks only. Y'all have put up signs that says whites only. You have created towns that are for white people only. You have created organizations for whites only. You created country clubs for whites only.
But have the nerve to get mad when we do our own.
And then want to what? Destroy it, right? You want to burn it to the ground because we can't have what you have. We got to want what you have. Nah, baby. So, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Speaking of minorities and white spaces, and going back to what you said about all skin folk and kinfolk. So I guess Candace Owens had her come to Jesus moment, and she's no longer officially MAGA. She's one of the ones who realizes that, I don't know, she's an idiot for voting for Trump, and that, you know, they turned on her and she, whatever. But now, but she's still a garbage. She's still a trash can human being. I'm not saying what y'all think. I'm saying we're not going where I think you're going. So now she's on this whole thing about Bridget Macron being trans. Now you could go with Bridget Macron was a groomer. We you know, that whole, you can say a lot about the lady. I believe she has biological children that she actually birthed. You know, so the whole thing about her being transgender is a little far-fetched in my, you know, and even if she was, who gives a shit? But so now she's going, I don't know why she's going in after Bridget Macron. Like I said, if there's something you wanted to go after for her, the red meat is hanging right there, you know? But so this whole hill she wants to die on, and the lawsuit that the Macrons have filed against her, and then she's still saying, Candace, loud, proud, and wrong. You were born a man, you gonna die a man, I'm gonna see you in court. Well, I hope your billionaire husband's ready to come off some money because...
Well, that's what I heard. I heard that the reason why she can stand 10 toes down is because of how rich her husband is. And, you know, he stuck by her through all her bullshit that she's come out. Granted, they have the same politics. You know, she's playing her role. I don't know if you know the reason that she's going after a foreign nation's first lady. I don't know if there was something that happened or that would
pay that much attention to her. I don't listen to her.
Okay, because I was so shocked when I was so shocked when I saw that she was being sued, and I said sued, and then they said what she was saying about, and I was like, who is worried about Macron's wife like that? And also, like you said, the fruit is hanging. Macron, like, groomer, yes. Okay, like, we know the history of him and his wife. Like, no matter that they've been married for, you know, decades. No, it doesn't matter that they have children. Like, the beginning, it's very controversial on how they started. And you saying that this woman is a man or trans woman, my bad, I apologize, I'll take that back, is a trans woman? And I'm like, why do you want her to show you like proof? Like, I'm very confused about this. And I also hope that they take a couple. I want you to take a couple million. Don't hold up on it. It is bold for a foreign nation to sue us like that, to sue a private citizen of the United States,
and
especially an ally.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't understand why that side of the aisle, that particular party, is so obsessed about what's in between, what someone's genitalia is. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, really, seriously.
Somebody said they don't commit crimes. They're less than 1% of the population, because population, give or take, is only about 10% part of the LGBTQ community. 10% for all of the alphabet, right?
Uh-huh.
And then only 1% is trans out of that 10%. Only, you know.
So they're like less than 1% of the population.
Yeah, they're less than 1% of the population. So,
and most of the time, would you know a trans person unless they told you they were trans?
I don't, to be honest, I continue to say it every time I get into the conversation with somebody. I don't care. And they'd be like, how can you not care? I don't care. I don't care that they're using my bathrooms. I don't care. What I need people to acknowledge is the reason why y'all have so-called concerns about trans people is because you know how dangerous men are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. 85% of crime, 85% of all major crimes are done by men. That leaves only 15% for women. 85% of all major crimes are done by men. Okay? And you concerned about a population that's less than 1%? I'm not concerned. I don't care. I don't care. I need y'all to deal with these men that need therapy. I need y'all to deal with these men who are turning into incels, who are turning into red flags, okay? Who are getting on the internet and crashing out because nobody wants to date them because it's not as easy because women aren't taking their shit the way that we used to. That's what I need y'all to deal with. Leave these trans people alone. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you sit next to me. I don't care if you are running, a member of my government. I don't care if you are playing in women's sports. I don't care if you are using their locker rooms. I don't care if you're using the bathrooms. And please don't be ignorant and be like, oh, she said she don't care about none of that. She don't care about the dangers to the, don't do that. Don't do that, because if you don't know exactly what I am saying, then this podcast is not for you anyway. I need you to go stage left. I need you to go stage left. Okay. But I don't care, because they have never, in all the years that I've met every single trans person that I have met, and I have met multiples, they have never, I've met trans men, I have met trans women, I've had multiple conversations. Never, ever once did I feel like I need to be on a swivel just in case something happens.
Thank you.
I've never felt like I couldn't be with them late at night. I never felt like I couldn't walk down the street and pass a group of them and feel like my life was in danger. I need to cross the street because I don't know what the reaction is going to be if you try to whistle at me or try to talk to me, and I keep it moving. I have never, ever felt like I was going to be attacked. I was going to be molested. I was going to be assaulted. Ever once have I felt like that in all the years that y'all have been throwing out these little warnings. Never felt it. Okay. And I won't feel it now. So please stop with your obsession and deal with the actual problems that we have in society. That is not a problem.
Thank you. So, and this is a perfect segue into what did you hear about Laverne Cox in her interview and her dating her MAGA boyfriend, and now all of a sudden I guess she's espousing his views and saying how Kamala never said anything. I'm like, did you not fucking pay attention to? And again, it goes to one of those things to where it doesn't take much to tarnish your legacy. Like, you were one of the biggest allies. You were one of the people who stood tall. You are a role model for your people. Black, trans, successful. You were on a hit TV show, magazine, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but I can't think of another way to say it right now. You were part of the normalization, the acceptance. Does that make sense? And for you to come out and say this because I'm going to keep that to myself because I can be pretty crass and pretty, but because you got some good loving from a hot young MAGA, and here's also the thing that I don't think people understand. You are what you hate and rally against the most. The whole thing about being anti-alphabet, because we know during your conventions and when a lot of y'all get together, Grindr lights the fuck up. Servers go down. They know if a lot of y'all are getting together, they've got to expand their fucking bandwidth. Mm-hmm. Like, we know a certain senator has preferences. We know a certain other senator from the same state is in some purple marriage because he thought it was going to get him something, So
I love how we drop in hints about certain states, but we're not saying the names, but I immediately know what you're talking about, Eddie. I love it, Eddie.
So it's like, I hate to see you turn on your own. And here's the thing. I expect it from Caitlyn Jenner because she is who she's always been. Hypocrite to the core, but even in her former self, always held those conservative politics. You know what I mean? And at one point, I quite honestly thought she was going to try to retransition to run for governor of California, because that's what it was looking like. Because sometimes one day you're mad about the disservice being perpetrated against your community, the trans community, and then the other day you're on board. Yes, block the bathrooms. Well, bitch, where are you gonna go to the bathroom? That kind of, like, it's, and I'm a cusser, so forgive me, but just generally,
you've not been cursing this whole time, so
I know. So it's just like, for her, Laverne, to do this 180 type of thing over a guy that you're not even with anymore. Like, you could have kept that to yourself, and it just makes you look ignorant. And it's disappointing to see you selling out your people like that. If you didn't like her as a candidate because you didn't like her, then that would be one thing. Just say, I wasn't a fan. You could have jumped on the Palestine bandwagon or whatever else. But to make it all about some guy, that was just like, really? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and you said it before, you said it earlier, we've become so complacent with our system and our government, right? Because we just trusted that we would never fail. The idea of America is too big to fail. And so I think that coming out with this, I agree. I don't see the reason why she needed to tell us. We didn't need to know, okay, at all. It serves no purpose whatsoever except to show us who you are, okay? To change our viewpoint of you. I just want to, say when it comes to the Laverne Cox thing, what breaks my heart is the same thing that breaks my heart every single time Caitlyn Jenner opens her mouth and speaks. And it is knowing that it is extremely hard to be a trans person in the United States.
Anywhere.
Okay? Anywhere, true. But being in the United States, I see the dangers of being trans here, not to say, because they always want to bring up like other countries and you could be killed over there and everything. True. That's true.
Here.
But they have one of the largest percentage of their population that is murdered and has unsolved homicides is the trans community.
Let's call them what they are, hate crimes.
Yeah, and it just breaks my heart because you are destroying the momentum that was created not only by you, but that was created over decades of work and dedication to make it that you could get on a hit TV show and become one of the major stars of the show and make a name for yourself to the point where you can come out your ass and talk about how you had the best sex of your life with a MAGA supporter. The only reason why you can come out and say that out your mouth is because of the momentum that was built over decades.
And you were a big part, and like I said, she and Caitlyn, and I remember the same people that they denigrate now, or especially Caitlyn, Dems, the liberals, the liberal left, we were the ones supporting you in your transition, during your time of transition. Your politics didn't matter, being your true, authentic self. Everyone was for that. And again, it's not necessarily that I expected you to change your politics, okay? I'm not saying you can't still be a Republican and
But support your community.
But support your community. Take this time to actually be an activist, not a sometimes activist. And great, you're in that space, so you could be the one. And I guess it's like expecting Candace and all those other ones to be the mythical Negro. But again, you get in these spaces, and instead of being a true activist and trying to change minds and make them see, you want to be that magical unicorn, the accepted one, and that breaks my heart. And that...
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
It's different when it comes to the trans community than with Candace Owen and the Black community. And the reason why is because we have so many well-known and established Black leaders, Black celebrities, Black politics, that a Candace Owens doesn't make a dent in the community, right?
Uh-huh.
But a Laverne Cox makes a dent
Exactly
in the community. Caitlyn Jenner. And you talked about all the support. Yes, when I tell you I celebrated her getting on the People's cover, because that was amazing, right? The support. And may not like your politics, but I supported you, right? With the idea that you're going to come out and you're going to support your community, okay?
Make it easier for others who think like...
To do what you did, right? But instead...
You are Republican.
Yeah, you dent in the community because it's not enough of you who have made a full name. And the thing is, some of us know more trans people who have made some name for themselves, but they're not mainstream like Laverne Cox and Caitlyn Jenner. Like you can watch shows like 9/11. I think it's the Texas one. I forgot what that one's called. Lone Star, I think. But 911 Lone Star has, I believe that's the one that has the trans man on it.
Yes.
Okay. But I don't know his name. Okay. I could tell you that, yes, he's on, a popular show, on TV that people watch, you know, with him on it, okay? And he making a name for himself in that atmosphere, yes. But Laverne Cox has transcended Orange is the New Black, okay? Caitlyn Jenner, you know, has gone beyond the Kardashians. And you come in and you run your mouth on telling us stuff that we don't need to hear, we don't need to know, and you've destroyed the ones that are going to come behind you and make it harder, especially in this climate where they're being villainized, okay? Villainized. And this is the time that you think you need to come out. I don't fucking care if you supported Kamala Harris. Keep your mouth shut. Like,
You know, and to me, and again, it was the ignorance of the lie. She never saying or tried to do anything about it. Really? Well, that just lets me know you didn't pay attention. You were in, like you said, it's just heartbreaking. Like that was one of those where I was just like, God, no, not you two. Like, no, just no. So, you know, taking a shift since we're there, the entertainment. So the Paramount deal went through a day after Colbert was canceled. That shocked the shit out of me. When I read that Colbert was canceled, I was like, the number one nighttime show is being canceled. Then the next day, and then they got all that backlash. So CBS immediately came out, said for financial reasons, because again, our last show we talked about the settlement, the $15 billion. But then, like 2 days later, the long-awaited, held-up deal between Skydance and Paramount finally went through the FEC, or FCC, excuse me. And so everyone who is a fully sentient human being with some common sense, who knows how to connect dots, thinking pretty much that the Colbert cancellation was part of the settlement deal. And so they were like, CBS was like, well, they're losing $40 to $50 million a year on Colbert. And so he basically said gloves are off for the next year because he's going to be on till May. And I'm like, and he was one of the ones, him and Kimmel go at, Fallon is, you know, but him and Kimmel are the main ones who go after Trump hard. And so he said, fuck it, what you gonna do, fire me? Like, and so he did this whole thing about, well, we know where 15 million of those dollars went. And so I'm just like, yeah. And it's kind of scary. It goes back to that whole bully thing, because Paramount had no reason to settle with him. He did not have a case. They released the whole unedited interview, and the only thing they edited out was what anyone would edit out. It wasn't this whole thing. They didn't feed her questions, all that bullshit. And so I'm just going to do it and we can talk about it all. So after that, one of the big holdups is, and I remember reading about it, Paramount's biggest moneymaker is still South Park. I hated South Park then. I hate South Park now. I've never really been a South Park fan. But they give them $1.5 billion in the same day or the day after they finalized their deal to make 50 more episodes, right? The season premiere of South Park comes out. And I must say, it was the first time in a long, long time that I watched South Park, and they excoriated the shit out of his tiny ego. Yeah. So all of that is just one big, where do you want to start? Take it, it's yours. It's all.
Okay, so when it comes to the deal, business is business, and it has to be acknowledged that Paramount had to settle with him in order to get the deal to go through. That they basically said that the comments that were coming out that the CEO was making, the deal wouldn't have went through if they didn't settle with him. That was the holdup. Yeah, the holdup for the FCC approving the merger was the case that he brought against Paramount. Now, whether it was on purpose that this case was brought up against Paramount because, you know, they knew that they wanted this merger to go through, so I'm going to file a lawsuit against you, and you're going to have to settle because you're going to need me more than I need you at some point, right?
He did the lawsuit before he became president. It was one of those things that was almost immediate because of her 60 Minutes interview.
Yeah, but mergers have been...
But the merger's been in place for a while.
Yeah, the merger's been a conversation for a while. So a lot of things come into play when he was elected, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, he gets this power, and they knew it. They knew it. It's kind of like, Columbia. Hate it. And we wish Columbia would have done what Harvard did. So just to kind of go on that, Harvard would not have been able to make the decision to do what they did if Columbia hadn't folded the way that they did.
I get that.
If Harvard had not witnessed how Columbia was destroyed over this because they folded, Harvard wouldn't have known pushback, right? Like, Harvard is a perfect example of, we have gassed that university up for almost its whole entire existence.
Here since 1630.
It's been here longer than the country, right?
Outdates the presidency.
And we've gassed it up to the point where it knows its position, right? It's stronger than Columbia. That's why you have all these other universities that are waiting, okay? They're not going to do nothing, right? And they all would have folded if Columbia can't hold the line. Higher education is destroyed, right? Well, we know that.
A lot of them joined together and made their own little leagues to, their own little NATOs.
They're trying to, right? But here's the thing. While they made their own leagues, the one university that they need to join them? Harvard. So you have to look at all these universities. None of them are Ivy League. None of them are the top world universities have joined them, right? They need that. Harvard is holding the line. And all these Ivy Leagues are looking, right? So when it comes to Paramount, it's business. They this ain't the first time, and it ain't going to be the last time that he gets these entertainment companies, right? These production companies. Now I'm waiting for him to go after Hollywood strong and see who falters first. And if Hollywood is going to look at Paramount and say, we're going to have to fight this, or if they're going to fall in line,
We'll see, because he's threatening The View because Joy Behar went in. So
exactly, right? So that's ABC and Disney. And let's be honest. Yeah, we love Bob Iger when he was, when he was going, at it with DeSantis, right? In Florida. But at the end of the day, people don't he's fallen in line multiple times as well with the system, right? But we don't pay attention to that because we were just so enthralled when Disney stood 10 toes down over Disney World, right? And over their own town and all that stuff. So I think that, South Park, I saw the clip. Hilarious. I will say it was funny. Not a South Park fan. I don't do that kind of comedy. I don't find it to be funny, but it's hilarious. They had it weeks in advance. Colbert, at the end of the day, Colbert's been Colbert, and I love it. So we'll see how he does. But I'm of the mindset when it comes to these individuals who, are talking the talk that they're talking, I need to see you do it. You said that the gloves are off until it's official that you're canceled in May. I want to see it every single day, Monday through, Thursday, Friday? I forget how many days. Friday? Monday through Friday. When I tell you I want your foot on his neck, every single joke needs to be about something else that man has done. Every single joke. I want every single interview that you have, at least one of the questions is asking, what do they feel about that man? Because you got to let me know also who's on my side and who's on the opposite side when it comes to these people. That's what I want to see. That's like the whole thing with Gavin Newsom. I believe it when I see it. You talking real big, okay? Texas is already going through the process. Where's your process? The Democrats have started it. Where's the map? Show me what the map look like, Newsom. What the map look like? Because Texas already showed us their map. They showed us what they about to do. So I love it. Look, when I tell you I'm traumatized for the rest of my life, And at the same time, I have to say that some of these people is just making the trauma a little less. And I love it. It's like therapeutic, right? It's not enough. I need more of it, right? Because the trauma is just it's up here, right? But I need more of it. I need more of those South Park clips. I need more popular cartoons to come out and destroy. Give me The Simpsons. Give me Family Guy. Give me those ones that people are constantly watching, right? I need some anime that is gonna do this, right? I need some TV shows that are gonna do that's what I need.
Yeah, because and like I said, the best way to fight back against a bully is just to punch him in the throat. And And Paul's showing us how to do it, and we always know, like I said, Taco Tuesday always comes around. So stop giving in. Did you go see Superman? Just really quickly.
Girl, can I?
Are we gonna have to do a show on Superman?
May have to watch it again if we do it, but I'm okay with that because of, real quick, I watched it knowing all the commentary, right, that people were talking about.
Still weren't prepared.
I will say, full force, I am a DC fan. I've always been a DC fan. Anyone who knows me knows, it's right there back in the background. You see it? Wonder Woman. Ride or die. Okay, that's my girl. Okay, not that woman that played her for the movies that I can no longer watch. Okay, but original Wonder Woman,
Linda
I'm
Carter.
about that life, right? Like everybody knows, I love Wonder Woman. I love DC. The thing that I love about DC, and I was excited about, but I was a little apprehensive about, was that DC stays more to the comics and to the material, to the original. And when they do it so well, right? Like they do it so well. Marvel falls for the hype, okay? It's going to sell. It's going to be huge. We're going to do bigger, better, bigger. And then it's no longer better, but it's just bigger. Superman was good.
Okay, so having said that, I'm going to let you guys know, and it might be a little late for y'all. It might be around the time that it hits streaming. I think that would be perfect when it hits the streaming, you know? But I think our next wind down episode will be Superman. I think it deserves a conversation of its own.
Yeah.
I will just say that it was a success, and I think that we feel the same way about it. But I will also recommend that if you haven't seen it, see it.
Yes.
And I will find out when it hits streaming, probably soon here, and we will have an episode of the wind down over Superman. Sound good?
Yeah, no.
I really think it deserves its own conversation. I hadn't been for sure.
It does. Can I just say, Lex Luthor, amazing.
Nicholas
Really.
Hoult was chef's kiss.
Yes, amazing, right? But Lois Lane, loved her. Okay, like loved her because they made her new age, but still kept close to the original material. Love that, right? The Clark Kent / Super, loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, don't. 3 main characters, and even the crypto dog. Like when original material. I don't know why I have not seen enough commentary about I'm gonna wait. I'm sorry. It's just y'all go see it.
It deserves you will get the next wind down will be about Superman. I'm happy to hear that. Another thing I'm happy to hear, I am a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan. What's up, Stallion? But from Never Play with her and R.E.M. That song's just going through my head. And I'm happy to see that she is happy and she seems to be in a relationship with a good guy. She's dating Clay Thompson, I'm sorry, from the Dallas Mavericks. And it's interesting because it's kind of like, you know who it reminds me of? Kind of like Taylor and Travis in the sense that both have, I know you're looking at me like, where are you going with this? But hear me out.
I'm gonna wait. Go ahead.
It's from the media aspect. Historically, both have tended to be private about their relationships and who they're dating, going back, you know. Mm-hmm. And at this point, it's still not.
You mean the Clay Thompson, Travis Kelce aspect of it.
And just the privacy that they've tended to have about their relationships. Gotcha. Like Taylor, you know who Taylor, you've always known who Taylor was dating, right? But she's never really put it out on social media, right? Her boyfriends have never taken pictures of her. You know what I'm saying? But Travis just did a whole photo dump of him and her together. Okay. Megan and Clay have both, and as a basketball fan, you know, whatever, they've both been more private about their relationships. You may know who they're dating, but they've never really just put it on social media like, this is my, does that make sense? So that's
I get where you're going. Yeah.
That's the connection I'm making. So I'm happy to see that they're happy, that she's happy. She's found a good guy because she's had some trash, Mr. Shooter in the feet, whatever. And all these people, the other Canadian rapper who wants to talk about her. Then that motherfucker from Houston, Slim Thugger motherfucker, who got on and crashed out because she told him no, talking about he don't want to be a kept boy or a baby boy because she
like Clay Thompson don't got his own money, but okay.
Yeah, like you talking about riding her around in a Lambo in a penthouse. She has her own, she has all those things on her own.
She don't need you for that.
And who says, and I'm sorry, I don't give gifts with the whole reciprocity of the whole thinking of, hey, Tammy, I bought you a Louis for your birthday. You need to for my birthday, I'm fucking expecting a Louis return in return. I don't give gifts thinking about the money aspect of, hey, I got you this for this, so it needs to come back and it needs to be reciprocal and dollar amounts. And that's what I got from that video. Oh, so she got him a $300,000 watch. What is he going to get her? Who said he hasn't bought her stuff? You know, and I'm just like, and so she's into these plushy things that people are carrying on purses. He bought her like 1,000 fucking plushy thing, you know. So I'm just like, it just showed me his mindset. I'm like, you bitter bitch, sitting here crashing out, talking about, well, when someone says no, and like you dodged a bullet. No, she dodged a bullet. She told you no because you fucking trash. Like the best thing you've ever rapped it is, I'm Slim Thug a motherfucker. And coming out of Houston, I can say that. And every time after that, whenever I hear he's featured on a song, all I want to hear is Slim Thug a motherfucker. And after that, I'm done with the song. Like, give me your tagline and be done. Cause you crashing out like a hurt bitch boy, all up in your feels talking about your love language is action, you know, acts of service. And basically it was, no, bitch, you just fucking described a maid. You want somebody to suck and fuck and cook when you want them to. That's basically what I mean.
Yeah, you look, when I saw it, I was like, I gotta send this to Eddie so she can watch this crash out. I go a different way and say that the crash out is really because Klay Thompson
is better than you in every sort of way.
Is what Russell Wilson was for Sierra. To go from a toxic MFer, okay?
Or MFers, because let's not act like there haven't been others since that incident, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. But like, you know, going back to like Sierra, right? Because her and Future and Sierra had some other ones, right? Because she dated some names. Okay, Sierra dated some names. And to end up with a gentleman, let's call him that, right? To end up with a gentleman who would ride or die not only for her, but for a child that's not his. Okay. And so people look and be like,
his biological, okay, because you tell Russ Will Future ain't his, I think he might throw hands.
You right, because he claiming full stop every day.
That's his son.
Every day. Okay. That's why the son calls him daddy. But you know, so I look at it like Klay Thompson is the same way, right? Like all of a sudden now he's a simp because y'all have this woman that you want, and you think that the only ones that she should want and be with is men like you who ain't shit, okay? And so when she finds someone that's actually a gentleman, who's actually nice, who actually enjoys spending time with her, and who's not like just in it for clout and to disrespect her and to be like, yeah, she loved me so much, she gonna take all this. Y'all don't know what to do. Like, that's what the crash out is. Like, they look at Klay Thompson and they're like, yo, I think that dude really like her. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, how dare you like Megan Thee Stallion? Like, no. Okay? She's supposed to date men that make us think we always have a chance. That's who she's supposed to date. Okay? If she starts dating Klay Thompson, then is she over this phase and we ain't got no chance no more? Nah. And that's what the problem is that they look at it, and the reason why they think of this even more and they'll crash out even more over it is because they thought the same thing with Sierra. And they also didn't think that Russell Wilson would be as dedicated to this day to her as he is. And so they're like, oh, one of y'all already took the baddie that we liked. You can't take this one, right? Because look at what's her name? I'm not necessarily a fan of hers. Tiana Taylor, right? That woman was dragged by her husband, okay? Cheated on her in an open marriage. How you cheat on your wife in an open marriage? I don't like that. Don't make no sense to me. And now, you know, she's casually dating. I say casually because, you know, Aaron Pierre,
who she was introduced to by.
Yeah, you know. And they're mad. They're mad because here's another baddie who was with
Tiana Taylor.
Yeah, who was with an ain't shit man. I'm not a fan of hers because she's a supporter of Chris Brown. Who was with an eight? Yeah, they're friends. They've been tight for years.
They made up.
Oh, are they still on the outs?
I thought they were still on the
Oh,
out.
okay. Maybe I'll give her a chance now. She don't really care if I give her a chance anyway. I'm not on her radar. But, she was with an ancient man who, made her look stupid to the public, right? Not saying she is stupid. That's not what I'm saying. But made her look stupid and pathetic to the public. And she goes from that to Aaron Pierre, who people are like, who women are like, just like, oh my God, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, but I don't drool over him the way other people do. But, everybody got their own taste, right? And, you have that, and I think that's what it is. I think it's the jealousy of they don't have a chance. Like they don't have a chance. At least with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has always dated like those types of men, right? So the men who look at Taylor Swift and who like her would look and be like, they don't have a problem with feeling like they don't have a chance with her because she's always dated the same type of men.
Yeah, I mean, my analogy was just about how private they all those people have generally been about their relationships. So just to see them, opening up and putting it out there, like, and like I say, I'm all for privacy, but I don't want to be made to feel like I'm your secret, if that makes sense. So I can post about us on social media, but I don't have to tell all the business. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I don't fall for it though. Like I'm still I'm still in the group of when it comes to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I don't believe it and I don't think it's real.
Uh, well,
I don't I don't like and I think part of the reason why is because just me, opinions as always. I think her heart must have been broken into 1,000 pieces when her and Joe Alwyn broke up. Look at Travis Kelce as an example of Taylor Swift shutting herself off from possibly being in that relationship again of because Travis Kelce already was a name before he got with Taylor Swift. Okay. When you think about who Taylor Swift has dated, Joe Alwyn was the most private person she's ever dated. Kept to himself. When you think like who else was more private in
Jake
dating her?
Gyllenhaal.
Huh?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
She made a song about him.
She made an album about him, but who hasn't she made a song about? Dear, at least she did. He didn't get a Dear John song like John Mayer though.
You're right. You're right. But I would even say like I knew about Jake Gyllenhaal though. Like I knew.
I'm not saying you don't know about them. I'm saying that they've never been public about the relationship to the fact where they posted on social media or would even like if you saw them out together in public places, it wasn't the hand holding. It was like oh, we're together, but let me walk 50 steps ahead of you, hoping that will derail the press when it doesn't, Like
And now she's more of a I'm
like
holding on to you.
like yeah, like famously private couple, Zendaya and Tom Holland. But when they're in public, you still know they're together, right?
Yeah.
They will talk about each other in terms of, okay, yes, that's my love. All right, moving on. You know what I'm saying? It's not that, oh, we've been together 50 years, but we're still going to play coy and pretend, that type of thing. Like I said, I'm all for being private because I'm a private person, but I don't want to feel like I'm your secret. People can know we're together. We can take pictures together, whatever. But when we're in public, hold my fucking hand. Don't drop my hand and take off running because you see people taking pictures. Leonardo DiCaprio, not to name names. But so that's what I was getting at with the whole
To name names.
that's what I was getting at with the whole Megan Thee Stallion and Clay thing. It's just nice to see her in a relationship or in a place where she's comfortable feeling like she can post things. You know what I'm saying? That
Gotcha.
was that.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. Okay, and I would just say right now, I love it.
I love it for her.
I love her because I think she's great. I think that there have been multiple instances where the industry tried to destroy her, and she has come out stronger. So her being with Klay Thompson, which I'm familiar with him, but I don't watch sports like that. But I'm familiar with him, so I love that. Which team does he play for now?
He plays for the Mavericks.
He plays for the Mavericks. And so I really do. I love it. Like I think it's great, and I really hope they can go the distance. Yeah, I hope they can go the distance. I mean, you know, it's still starting out, but I hope they can go the distance. But it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Okay. So these next ones, I'm going to combine them just like because they all kind of go hand in hand. Like
Uh-huh.
Neon and his streaming madness on The Breakfast Club, right? And how he got dragged for, you know, for his racist comments in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And then Morgan Wallen, how we know he's had his microaggressions and straight out racist comments because he straight out said the N word, refused to apologize, gave some half ass apology, then sorry, not sorry, whatever, right? So Drake comes um, out at his tour in Houston, walks him out at his tour in Houston. Then he just released a song with Lil Wayne and Rick Ross. And then the Stud Buds and having Dave Portnoy on their show. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying before. The Morgan Wallen thing to me is just, I understand making mistakes, but it's not a mistake if you refuse to apologize and own up to it and continue with the same asshole-ish behavior. And I'm sick of our people carrying water and trying to say, hey, just because I ride with them, you should too. Like I said, we all say things we regret. That's not my problem. It's the way it was handled. It's the way it's been. And it's disheartening for me because as a country music fan, I really used to like Morgan Wallen. And I will say he's talented. He is. But I can't ride with him. You know what I'm saying? And I hate seeing these fucking people carry his water. But then I kind of look at who it is and I'm like, fuck you. We know the Canadian rapper is out to get his clout back, but that's going to lead to something else in just a moment. For Neon and his streaming madness, I love, what's her name? Just Delicious. What is it?
That's hilarious.
Yes, just hilarious. I don't listen to The Breakfast Club. I don't fuck with The Breakfast Club, so I couldn't tell you who was on there besides Charlamagne and Envy to save my life. But I saw the clip that you sent me, and I love that she did real journalism and held him to the fire. Now, the Stud Buds and Portnoy, we all know Portnoy is an asshole and all this kind of stuff. And their response to that was ill-suited. And it goes back to what we were saying about Gavin Newsom earlier. And I saved this comment for this particular part of the conversation. I wouldn't have minded him having Charlie Kirk on the show or Steve Bannon on the show if you would have done a Mehdi Hassan and held them to the fire. If you would have done a Just Delicious. And I don't know why. You just told me her name and I'm back at Just Delicious.
Just Delicious.
But I don't mind if you would have done a jest and held them to the fire. So the first question is, well, why was Neon even on the show? I'm okay with him being on the show because someone held him accountable for his bullshit. Make sense? Stud Buds and Portnoy, you didn't hold him accountable for your bullshit. You let him on to carry his water. And that's my problem with everyone trying to have these conversations with all these people. Invite them on your show, but hold them accountable for the bullshit that they've said, for the harm that they've done. Don't just let them come on there and give them a platform, especially to our people and kids who we know are being influenced by all this shit, by all these podcasts and different things, and just to do it so you can get clouds and shit and clicks and likes and subscribes and prove that you're the cool one. Again, it's time to fucking pick a side. Wrong is wrong, right is right. There I am. Okay, it's your turn.
So I will say, in today's time, 20 years ago, I could say that they were too young to know better, right? And how connected in the globalized world that we live in, that excuse will never fly with me. I don't care if you were 12, 13, 14. I don't care. You know better. Because the world is globalized, especially if you are on social media. You know better. There's no forgiveness. There's no excuses for it. You know what you did, and you did it with pride. So with Neon, he was, I think 18 is the earliest video that, just hilarious.
That was 2 years ago. You know better. At 18, you fucking know better.
And you, sir, you went on The Breakfast Club thinking it'd be hunky-dory. You did, because you knew Charlamagne, and you knew Charlamagne was going to hold your feet to the fire. You knew it, right? And Jess Hilarious, I think part of the reason why Jess Hilarious did what she did is because she's been dragged a little bit. There's a reason why. I should have looked it up, but the other woman who is now, on there, who's an actual journalist, because Jess Hilarious is not a journalist, who's an actual journalist. Jess Hilarious, like, people were calling for her to be kicked off of the Breakfast Club and to just give her position over to that woman. Okay. And so now that, they're all there, I feel like part of it is, I'm gonna do this, right? I'm gonna put this out there because I just don't agree with this. So I'm gonna do my research and I'm gonna be the journalist on this show. And so calling him out, he was chilling, right? Like, what? This dude gave a story about how the race that he hates the most is black people. He don't like black people, right? And the reason why is because he gave this stupid story about how this black man robbed his dad's cell phone store for $50,000. $50,000 in cash, just chilling in. Okay. And then you find out that his whole team is black. The man that protects him is black. His bodyguard is black. His publicist is black. His producer is black. Okay. And he calling us monkeys. A package. He's calling us monkeys. He's calling people's moms Harriet Tubman. Okay. And Charlemagne, I ain't surprised. Charlemagne gonna Charlemagne. Okay. I'm not surprised. But it is true. Like, Jess Hilarious, like, held his feet to the fire, and that man lied. Lied. She was like, oh, so you don't have a race that you dislike more than any other race? He was like, nah, I love everybody. Everybody's good. Sir, when you were streaming, you were saying something else. You was cursing out a black woman, calling her a monkey and a bitch okay. So they asked her to apologize. Did she? No. She came with the receipts. I love it. She came because Jess Hilarious is transphobic. Not necessarily a fan of hers, but she came with the receipts, so I'm cool with that. Go ahead with yourself, girl.
A broke clock is right twice a day.
Huh? Yeah, and the conversations because the conversation we've been having this whole time, that's what I've been thinking, right? Like, when we talk about people that we're not necessarily fans of, I said, well, the clock is, like, in my head, I kept saying, clock is right twice a day. Like, the clock is right twice a day. And so that would be just hilarious. I think it's great on people pushing her to apologize, our people pushing her to apologize, and instead she brought the receipts to show. And she put his age for every single time. So they were like, oh, he was young. And she was like, he was 18, he was 19, he was 20. He just said this 6 months ago. Like, she made sure to do that. And I appreciate that, because we, like you said this multiple times, we need more of this. We need more of people holding these people accountable, because they're coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out of the woodwork. Okay. And we have our own people who are giving them a platform.
Like, it's a safe space.
Yeah. And it's what I said before. We are not exclusive. And that is part of the problem. Okay. We give people second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. And all they got to do is one good thing. Right. And all of a sudden, everything else is forgiven. Morgan Wallen?
That's just one good thing, though. He, like I said, he never.
The music. It's the music, right? Because the music, the trap, because what is it, like country trap music or something like that? That's kind of like on the lines of what he's doing. The music that he's putting out, black people were liking it before he came out with his racist rant. They were liking it before he came out with his racist rant. Okay. He came out with his racist rant, and it's kind of like the same people who will still give attention to R. Kelly and to Chris Brown, right? And to Diddy. And what is their excuse? You got to separate the art from the artist. Okay. And so with that, there's still people talking about how amazing of an artist Chris Brown is and how he's such an amazing performer. And they're going to his concerts by the hundreds, right? And I'm like, I don't care, because I just heard the commentary to remind me of what that man did to Rihanna, and I could fucking care less if Rihanna forgave him. Never will you see me support that man. Ever. He can't get a dime, a penny out of me. Okay? And so it's the same thing. They're like, Separate the artist from the art, right?
And you say that, and because I was one, like I said earlier, I have no problems. I liked Morgan Wallen. I think as an artist, he is talented, but I cannot excuse. I think sometimes it's like that abusive relationship where they just come back and they do something nice and they never fully apologize, or they give you some half-ass apology, then come out and make some good music, or he served his penance of semi cancellation or whatever, but I can't do it. And again, I will be honest, full disclosure, because listening to the music that came out this week for new this week's new this week on the radio, dropping tomorrow, I listened to the Morgan Wallen song, and it's not on the playlist, so I couldn't do it, but I wanted to hear the song. And to hear Lil Wayne just sitting up in there dropping the N-word just so casually, like, it's and that's part of the problem we have with other people using the word so casually. Whether you let your friends do it or not, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different show. But that was truly disheartening, especially considering what he has done or what this man did, The Canadian rapper walking him out, not surprised about that. Chris Brown has a song featuring one of my favorite artists. It also is new. I just let the playlist play, see what I'm going to source for the thing. But as soon as I saw Chris Brown, I knew it wasn't going to go on the list. But one of my favorite artists, he has a song with Bryson Tiller. It breaks my heart because I love Bryson Tiller. I'm not saying I'm canceling Bryson Tiller. I'm not saying I'm good on Bryson Tiller, because there's still people who work with them that I, for the most part, some of them respect. The three that were rocking with Wallen are not on that list at all. But I'm not canceling Bryson Tiller because of it. But I like to pub his music wherever I can. But I just can't with this song because Chris Brown is on my R. Kelly list. As talented as R. Kelly was, I was one of the first ones to jump off that wagon when I'm like, dude, he pissed on a 13-year-old child, and y'all think that shit is cute? Like, I haven't rocked with him since that video came out. Okay. So it's just like, I think we're too, like you said earlier, it's not necessarily about us being exclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes we're too fucking forgiving and we don't hold people accountable. And some of us get into these spaces where we don't, Laverne Cox, not to name names, we don't take our responsibility to our community seriously enough. If I'm going to have Portnoy on my show, which, hey, if he ever wanted to come on our little show, I wouldn't dispute it, but I'd let him know straight up. This is not somewhere where you're going to come and get your ass kissed. You might want to listen to a couple of the shows and see how we roll, because I am going to ask you about your Angel Reese.
Yeah.
I am going to ask you why, as a grown ass 50-year-old man, you're hating on a 23-year-old girl. And she's a woman, but you get where I'm going with this. I am going to ask you about your statements, your support of Trump, this, that, and the other, because I feel like now, it's as inundated as we are with the whole tabloid clickbait shit. Sometimes the podcasters, that's where you're going to get your media, your journalism, your news from. So in some cases with Gavin Newsom, as a fucking politician, you knew you had a responsibility to do better by having those people on your show. It's not that you had them on your show. It's that you had them on your show to carry their fucking water.
I hope Gavin Newsom kind of realized his mistake.
And learned his fucking lesson?
Yeah, inviting those incels to his show, and the pushback that he got from his supporters, because Gavin Newsom is setting up for a presidential run. We all know it. He's setting up to run for president, okay? And you got to build up the momentum, right? On what type of person are you, and for the support that you want. And so I think the reason why he invited those people on is because he is from California. And at the end of the day, people have done a very good job of villainizing California. And California has now started to really push back. And I enjoy watching it on the pushback, that they're having. Like, California is like the Harvard of the states, right? At this point, right? On how they're pushing back. And I love it. And I think that before that, he was going off of this idea of middle of the road, right? Kind of the David Hogg thing. You got to cater to the white men and get them back. And we're like, they're never coming back. So y'all need to cater to everybody else, especially work on catering to, if there is a demographic that y'all need to work on getting to your side, it would be white women.
Suburban white women.
Yeah, it would be suburban white women more than white men. I think they need to be ignored and they need to be shifted to the side, and the focus needs to be on suburban white women. Not saying that you don't want their vote, but if you get the suburban white women,
You're golden.
it's a wrap. Like, it's a wrap for the other side, right? And so I also say that when it comes to like all of these artists, these are the same artists who were against Harris when she ran, right? Who did not openly support her or who openly went against her, what they were saying, what they were telling their fans. So I'm not surprised about this, right? And it's the same thing as what I said with Laverne Cox. You said it. You are destroying the community for a bag. And you didn't learn with Chrisette Michele. That's not the way to go. You didn't learn with Snoop Dogg. He's still being dragged for performing. Or Nelly. Don't nobody fucking care about Soulja Boy. Or Nelly, right? Who is still trying to defend himself over what he did, right? For a bag, right? And all of these artists, these athletes who have fallen in line, and what is the excuse they always use on the reason why? Respect for the office, right? And with, these kinds of artists, I really think
don't fucking respect you and shows that every day. Sorry.
Exactly. No, you're right. Like the Morgan Wallen. Look, real quick, I had a situation, I've told you about it, and someone that I was cool with, and this person said the N-word one time too many. It don't matter if it's with the hard ER or the A. It don't matter. You said it to me in conversation, not directly towards me, like you're not saying, but in conversation, you let that drop. And every single time that I hear one of them say that word, I don't care if you're Asian, Hispanic, European, Middle Eastern, and you say that word, that lets me know you say it behind closed doors. And that lets me know, if you haven't already, you one step closer to saying it with the hard ER. That also lets me know that if I do the wrong thing just once, you're going to refer to me as that word. May not be to my face, but I'm going to be referred to. All I got to do is get out of line one time. When it comes to that and y'all shrug it off, it is the fact that it's been decades since we've had to struggle as a community, and now we don't know what struggle is. We don't know what fighting is. Okay? We think fighting is, granted, the Black Lives Matter movement was phenomenal, right? And what also happened? It was destroyed. They destroyed it. They started with the leaders and the founders of that movement, and they destroyed them one by one. And then after they destroyed them one by one, they destroyed the movement as a whole. It is now an ugly word in society as a whole. May not be to us in our community, but society has made it an ugly word.
Just like DEI, which basically means diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Exactly, right?
That's
Or affirmative action, right? That helped non-Black people more than it helped Black people, but still, so at the end of the day, it's kind of like you're not for the community, and you don't know what the community stands for anymore. We've been removed too long from the 60s, 70s, 80s, or even the 90s. We don't show the videos anymore because it's very graphic, right? And so because we don't show the videos anymore, we don't show the images, we don't show the pictures, we don't give the real MLK quotes, okay? That towards the end of his life, right before he was assassinated, he was talking along the lines of what Malcolm X had been saying for decades. We talk about that, on how he was starting to realize that his non-violent stance was not working the way that he wanted it to. Not saying, not advocating for violence, of course, but
you gotta fight fire with fire.
Yeah. And so to have a song with someone who has come out and used the N-word, I don't care if you apologize. If you used it once, you use it again.
He did, and that's just the thing. It's like he didn't even apologize. He kind of sort of did, then he took it back.
But they're taking it like that, right? Like the non-apology, because we talked about the other person last last time that I feel has not done enough for the position that they're in. Morgan Wallen is like that. Like, like he gave a non-apology and they accept the non-apology. So every single time that you bring up the fact that this man was throwing out the N-word, like it was part of his everyday vocabulary, they're going to be like, come on, y'all can't let that go. He apologized. And when we say he didn't really apologize, an apology is an apology. So as long as they call it an apology, you can't tell them that he didn't apologize for using the N-word, which gives them an excuse to work with him. And the reason why they want to work with him is because he's big right now. Okay? They want that bag that goes along with him.
Well, the Canadian rapper, it kind of goes back to, we hit on it a little bit, and it takes us to almost the thing where, okay, so when he was in Europe, or London, they were like, don't use us to create your beef, which is sort of started. And then one of the people in London said, no, don't come here to try to get your bag up. So it just kind of reminded me of the song Not Like Us, when it said he goes to Atlanta when he needs that check. So now it seems like he is the spaghetti on the wall, trying to go to see what sticks, what's going to get him back. He had a new song this week, also not on the list. And my thing with him is not that, didn't start with Kendrick. I had been off of him for a while because all his music started to sound the same. It's like when he switched from knowing who he was, when he went from being the wheelchair Jimmy of rap, the sing song rap thing, it worked for him. When he
went to go hardcore.
When he tried to go hard, it doesn't work for him. And it all starts to sound the same. Like you're just listening to the same Drake song. And he got into that whole, I won't say incel, but he got into that whole misogynoir space, and that just wasn't it. So someone said it best, because you talked about the beef between Lucas Joyner and one of the rappers who went at him, right?
Lucas, I couldn't remember his first name.
So, and we kind of talked about it last week a little bit, like our parents. You feel like the olds when you were like, I'm all about that bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, the old Snoop Dogg. Like, I grew up on drug dealer music, right? And so this shit that they're making, Young Boy and all that, that's drug user music. And because of what they've done to the Department of Education, these motherfuckers
on what type of music?
Drug dealer. You don't get
we're listening.
User music, right? And the number one rule of dealing is you don't get high off your own supply.
We need to make that the headline.
And so, fuck it. I'm not going there because I don't want them to my door. But like that's the shit I grew up on. Ice Cube, before he became Ice Water, before he sold the fuck out, right? Yeah. So grew up on that shit. And now, so part of it has to do with, and someone said it, we were talking about it, the reason why some of these younger kids can't fuck with Kendrick, because you don't realize what a fucking Pulitzer Prize means and how prestigious it means. He has vocabulary. The reason you don't fuck with Eminem, he has vocabulary, and the way he speaks.
We need to have this conversation right now, Eddie. I think.
And even Snoop, they had the vocabulary. They knew that you had to read the dictionary to find the words that rhymes. The reason why y'all think the Clips is shit, because Pusha got that vocabulary. Malice got that vocabulary.
You can't follow along with that.
Because you don't understand what the fuck they're saying. But the mumble, the cat in the hat. What the fuck is that shit? Like, and so when I read that, I'm like, that is why I cannot really relate to this music, because you drop a beat, you have no hook, and I don't understand what the fuck you saying, because you don't even know what the fuck you talking about. Like, give me back my drug dealer music and this drug user shit. Like, for real. So when I saw that, I'm like, that is it. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to sound old, because, when our parents were saying it was like the Temptations, and I love the Temptations and that shit, but it's hard to explain to my mom, like when an old Eminem song comes on about him fantasizing about killing his wife, about, or Biggie,
that was therapy,
yeah, or Tupac. Like, Tupac was literally a fucking poet. His book. I have his book, The Rose That Grew from Concrete.
I got it. I have that too, yeah.
But these days, these kids, they're functioning illiterates who can barely read or write, so they don't know how to put it together right. So it doesn't hit for me in that same way. They're not lyricists. How about that? And
they're not rappers.
Yeah. And so, but that's it. And so the whole beef to me, like, there's a few, Lucas Joyner, Tyler the Creator is I love Tyler. Like he, So you have a few. I'm not gonna put them all in, but what the fuck is it? I understand you gotta pay for all them 20, 30, 50, 11 kids you got. So, but yeah, but so I'm thinking now that the Canadian is just clout chasing, trying to figure out where
He's
his
always cloud chased. We just
yeah,
allowed him to do it because we're so welcoming.
yeah, but so now he's just trying to, I guess that he's been exposed. I I I I don't know.
I it's so good to hear people's commentary when you talk about hip hop and rap, because today's time when people ask me, like, what are some hip hop artists you listen to, what are some rappers that you listen to,
Oops.
and I'm old school as well, right?
Jay-Z.
But I also tell them I don't only listen to old school, because Kendrick is not old school.
He's not.
J. Cole is not old school.
Another one, no.
Drake is not old school, right? Like,
Early
even
Drake.
old Drake is not old school, right? Like, these are
Lil
the,
Wayne before he got syruped out. Because Millie is the shit.
yeah. And so like, I look at it as, and I
Nicki
say,
before she became a bitter bitch.
who?
Nicki Minaj before she became a bitter bitch.
Right. Like, this was what this was rap where our rappers were educated. And even when they were street smart, they were still educated. They still would do their English homework. Like, that's what they were showing me. Like, they were still rocking and doing their English homework. They were still working on their vocabulary. They were still writing those English papers. They were reading Of Mice and Men. They were reading Shakespeare. They were what? They were reading The Great Gatsby. Okay?
Yes.
They were reading, To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay? And they were understanding, the connections that these novels, sorry, I only, said white novels, but they were understanding what these novels, how they connected to society, right? And what the different, like, they understood what intersectionality was, right? And and even our gangster rappers had their vocabulary up, right? And people don't understand that. Like, you don't understand that our gangster rappers who were, like you said, selling drugs and in gangs, affiliates of the Crips and the Bloods and the Kings, actual affiliated with them, were still educated and literate, that they could become stars. Okay. And now you do have these new, I wouldn't even say like new rappers, because they're of the same age as Kendrick and J. Cole in them. But the difference is that these are the ones that these kids are building up. Why? Because it's not only the rappers that are illiterate, it's the kids, right? Which I will just say, the genius of people who villainized education and college, genius.
So
Genius. Because when I tell you, it has worked perfectly, where you do have the ones who, you would look at this dude who has 11 kids and like 8 baby mamas, right? 25 years old. Okay. 25 years old, 11 kids, 8 baby mamas. Okay. Give or take. Maybe I'm wrong on some numbers. Okay. But there's a lot of kids.
50-11 works.
Yeah. 50-11. And he driving around in a Lamborghini. Okay. And he lives in a mansion that he was on house arrest in. Right. And today's time, they look at this and they be like,
that's the life.
He owned that though. That's his Lamborghini. That's his house. He owned that.
It's a lease and a rental.
I said, with what money? And they were like, nah, because he making that, but miss, let's look it up. And they gonna look it up, right? And I'm just like, y'all, they can be worth $100 million. Do you think they have $100 million in the bank? Because they don't. They renting that car. They leasing that car. That's the reason why they're changing it. It's interchangeable. In and out. They're renting that mansion. They don't own that. And even if they did, it's mortgaged. He didn't buy that outright. Okay? That child support will take him for the rest of his life. Okay? And so I'm like, y'all dogging on Eminem?
They don't know.
It was so sad on the fact that we so welcoming, A white dude is one of the greatest rappers of our time. A white man. One of the greatest rappers of our time.
Grew up in 8 Mile, Detroit.
Yes. And y'all got all these black rappers who can't hold a line to a white dude who's in his 50s.
Thank you. Because
He's like 52.
and a grandpa, but if he wanted to drop a diss, you would not survive.
And the thing is, it's like, they hate it. Do you ever realize how much they hate it? That's the reason why they say they can't understand it. And they don't understand, like, it's corny. And I'm like, you know the reason why is because you know deep down that your rappers ain't shit.
Like, everybody want to move their mouth like they literate.
Yeah. Like, some of these rappers that we grew up with could pick up the phone and make one phone call and your rapper would be done.
Yeah.
Because of the connections. Like, it's illiterate. Like vocabulary, like Pulitzer Prize, poets. Like, I be looking like, you know what you got to do to get a Pulitzer?
I tried to explain. One kid told me he want to be a rapper. I said, then you need to pass English. You need to start reading the dictionary. You need to pay attention to the word of the day, whatever.
Just literally read the dictionary.
Why would I do that? I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't help you with that.
Because a lot of them are becoming famous without having actually really talent, right? Like, look at all the artists. Look at all the artists.
Like, famous.
Yeah, social media has completely destroyed the artistry, right? Somebody has talked about that on a TikTok video that I was watching, that social media has completely destroyed them wanting to be better, right? Like, even, this woman was talking about Hayley Williams, right, from Paramore. And they were talking
about vocalists.
Yes, and they were talking about how part of the reason why Hayley Williams is such an amazing vocalist is because she's like a Paige Beckers, right? She was bred in Black Southern churches. That's the music that she listened to, is the gospel vocalist, right? And so she honed her craft, her voice, amazing. Somebody had asked, what are some white artists that, like, we fully accepted, like, you can't say nothing about them. Like, don't you dare speak the wrong word.
Hayley, Miley, especially older Miley.
Miley today, younger Miley?
No, yeah, this Miley. This Miley today? Her last couple of albums, like her last album, my, amazing. And I was like, do I want, and I don't know what drove me to listen to it, because I was like, Miley Cyrus, I'm like, I don't want to hear Party in the USA. And I just put it on, and I'm like, oh my God.
She came into her own.
She does. She's a hell of a songwriter. And I think she proved that with America, with Two Most Wanted with Beyonce. She wrote that song, And so, but yeah, there are a few. Speaking of one, Phil Collins, old school. He's in hospice. And so sending prayers to his family. I love saying this because it sounds so insincere now, but I really am sending deepest condolences and thoughts and prayers to his family, and hoping, that he is doing well. And, we've also had a few major deaths this week. They come in threes, and they all came this week. So Ozzy Osbourne, he had ALS or MLS. He's been sick for a while. I know he's been sick for a while.
He has been.
So, and then Hulk Hogan, he died of cardiac arrest in his sleep. I'm going to say, I admit earlier, I need y'all to preface this. Listen to what I'm saying. Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan, and I was a huge I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. And before he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and again, I'm dating myself, way back when he was had the cartoon Coco Beware, Andre the Giant, when he was really, really a good guy, paid for Andre the Giant's funeral and helped with, help Black people get into wrestling. He was, and get clout in wrestling and not just be side characters, but main characters and all that. So that's the Hulk Hogan I remember. So the Hulk Hogan that I guess we all kind of got exposed to when his daughter was dating a Black dude, and he just comes out talking when he was dropping N-bombs, like, I remember when he came back as Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and he was the quote unquote bad guy, but that was wrestling, just figured. And I didn't realize until I was reading this, I knew he wasn't someone I messed with anymore, hadn't been for a while, right? Even politics aside, because that, like we said about Morgan Wallen, that one rant and you doubled down on it, never apologized, never said you were wrong. You just said, oh, I guess we all a little right. No, okay, I'm good on you. But so I didn't realize just how much he had turned into the villain, keeping the WWE from getting unionized. Um, the way he burned bridges with so many fellow wrestlers.
Hmm.
Um, and I realized people are like, well, he was the first wrestler to cross over into acting, well, or mainstream acting. But you also have to remember who he was when that happened. This Hulk Hogan, since he dropped that bomb, he lost his reality show when he dropped, when he said that. He you can appreciate, and I guess that's where I appreciate what he did before, but his legacy was forever tarnished from when was it when they said that 2015 on or whatever. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
then all the stuff we learned about what he did behind the scenes, that just further tarnishes the legacy. So my mom came up with something, because I'm not I let me put it this way, I'm not celebrating his death, but I'm not mourning it either. Does that make sense? Because I try to stay away from things that are going to permanently and irrevocably fuck up my karma. All right. Life is hard enough as it is. So
Yes.
I try to stay away from those karma killers. But my mom, she came up with something more sincere than thoughts and prayers. All she said was, I just hope he made peace with his Lord. I'm like, that's a good one, Mom.
Like, I like that, because I would agree. I think that it's sad. I think, like, Phil Collins is sad that he's in hospice, and Ozzy Osbourne was sad. I remember the Osbourne show, getting to know who he was. I always thought he was weird, but
His
still,
wife is a raving lunatic, but
yeah, but he was still, he was an icon.
yeah,
He was still an icon. And so it's so sad. And with Hulk Hogan, because I remember Hulk Hogan before he became the villain, and
in real
liked
life.
him. I really did like him. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin was my wrestler,
Yes.
and The
Stone
Undertaker.
Cold.
Stone Cold and The Undertaker, those were mine.
Love me some Stone Cold.
Yes. And so but I remember Hulk Hogan. So I will say, while I'm not necessarily grieving, it
It's like
breaks my heart for his family, for the people who loved him to lose him. That's the sadness. The people who loved him to lose
lost.
him. And that's ultimately the sadness. Yeah.
Because no matter how we feel, he was someone to somebody else. That he
Yeah.
was loved by those people. Everyone's talking about, ooh, when that big one is announced. But and so and that's just where I'm at. Like, the childhood me reconciled that he was no longer that man a long, long time ago, but it still just kind of tugs at that little kid in you that was
Yeah.
like, okay. And I just hate seeing the legacy ruined by so much of and it wasn't cosplaying like it is for some of these people, which makes it so much worse. That was who he
Of
was,
course.
though. I guess he owned
Woo.
that. And then the big one, the one that really got the childhood in me, the one that just broke me into a million pieces this week. Uh, a big rest in peace, rest in power to the one, the only, the original Gordon Gartrell, Theo Huxtable, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, AJ from The Resident. Like, that took me out.
Okay.
You were the first one to send me, and I'm like, there's no way this is a hoax. And then just as soon
Yeah.
I looked it up, and then it just started flooding the timeline and the feeds
Nine.
and all these alerts. And the one thing I need people to stop doing is saying you need to learn how to swim. When the ocean current comes for you, it comes, and sometimes if you get taken under.
That's people who don't know how to swim who would say that kind of statement. I don't, or who has only swam, or who has only really, done any kind of, like, movements in pools,
Yeah,
right? Because even if you go, like, like, there are water parks, they always have it now, the wave, right? And the closer you get to where the wave is coming out, the harder it is to really, like, hold on and stay in a position. You're gonna get pushed out, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so people who are saying need to learn how to swim, for the current to take him out, that means he had to be of a distance that he knew how to swim. That doesn't mean.
But yeah, we talked about it a while back, just seeing all those old Cosby Show clips. And we talked about how, like, I'm on this kick where I told you I'm watching old shows now, just going back, currently in The Walking Dead or whatever. But a few weeks ago, we talked about how sad it is to not be able to go back and watch The Cosby Show, how it just hits differently now. And I realized watching it, and part of the reason some of the stations that still carry it is because the actors get paid residuals from it. It's not just Cosby, even though he owns the show, created the show, directed the show, what produced or whatever. But a lot of it has just been so tarnished because of his, his history, which we don't have to rehash. It was nice to know that Malcolm he was one of those child actors who made it into adulthood and had a successful adult acting career. He was a director, a producer, a musician. He was Malcolm and Eddie after the Cosby Show. The Resident, he did a great job as AJ on The Resident.
Mm-hmm.
He was on this show that I watched. He just started on Missing 911 last year. I didn't know he was on Suits. I guess he was on the final seasons of Suits. I didn't realize that he had been on Suits.
You have to check that out. I actually believe it. I know they.
And
I
so
believe.
he just has a history. His library, his catalog of acting is probably more robust than we would realize. Had a young daughter, married, so that one. And all the clips of watching the Gordon Gartrell made me want to go back, but that was funny. Like, I love the Gordon Gartrell episode. Like, I think most people, the first one, the one where he got his ear pierced and he was trying not to show it, and Cockroach, his little sister, pierced the ear, having a best friend called Cockroach. And then when we finally saw Cockroach, it's like, ooh, Cockroach kind of fine. And then I think one of my favorites, probably after the Gordon Gartrell, because that's just classic, is where he thought he didn't need money and they cleaned out his room.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
He was talking big game.
Yeah. And so, may he rest in power, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Big love to his family, his mom, his wife, his daughter, everyone. Huh?
No, I said it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah. And he was so young. He was like 54. And I know the kids out there like, that's old. No, it's not. I tell kids all the time, wait till you hit that 20 mark, then you hit 25, then you get 30, and you're going to realize.
It's going quicker and quicker.
Thank you. You're going to understand age is just a number. But yeah, so that was truly disheartening. You got anything else for this episode? We might have to break this one up into 2 parts.
Well,
we had a lot to get to, but I thank you for joining us. Thank you, as always, for giving us your time, your ear. And until next time, stay tuned. Check out the website, popcornwinedown.com. And
follow, subscribe, like, share,
and check out the website and everything. And we will let you know when that Superman episode is coming. I'm so excited about that. So until next time, pop stars, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.